Hello everyone. I'm Dr. B here in Power Talk, Facturando Tu Historia Radio Metroplex. We are in Arlington, Texas, which is the capital of sports, events, and entertainment. And I'm so happy to be back here. I'm happy to be back home. It's been a long trip that I had. I was down in the Philippines exploring and connecting with ladies of all nations. There's 189 ladies from different countries that were representing, that we were all representing all these nations in the Philippines. So it was something really exciting. And now today's conversation is climbing the highest mountains. And it's either that we actually literally climb the mountains, and I'm going to be introducing Cobus the Viking, who's going to be coming live in a few minutes. And I climbed a mountain too, so I want to be able to tell you that story. And sometimes we climb mountains in real life. I mean, they're not actual mountains, but there's these mountains that we have to climb in order to get to the other side of life. So it's metaphorically speaking and literally speaking of climbing mountains. And with me, I have my guest, Vanessa Lisbeth, who's also my niece. And I'm excited to bring you on the show. Thank you for saying yes.
Thank you for having me.
I think other times she would have said, no, I'm not going to go. And today I was like, you know what? You need to come with me to the show today.
Sure did.
Yeah, it was like, because I was out and then I was feeling under the weather, like sometimes we don't plan things the way we should be planning because spiritually, mentally, we're kind of drained. And that's exactly what happened to me today. But you know what? I'm still here. I'm still showing up. I feel under the weather, a little sick. It's not COVID. I checked. I'm all good. So if you see me tonight, for those of you that are going to see me at the costume party, I'm okay. Okay. So anyways, Vanessa, I know that, life has thrown a lot of curveballs at you in various ways. And this show is about telling stories. We tell stories because we want to inspire, motivate women or other people to step into their highest version of themselves. And that no matter what happens in life, this show is about telling people, keep going, like, don't stop. And as you know, we lost one of our nieces because she committed suicide because she was in a dark moment. And because of that and a lot of things that I've experienced in life, that's why this show is taking place. So what story would you like to share that has brought you where you're at today?
Well, there's so many aspects to the story itself. In part, it would have to be with the domestic violence that I experienced from 2012 to 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and overcoming that after so much depression, anxiety, and my body, like your body, just starts to shut down because of so much that you're taking in, and overcoming those mental obstacles. And as a woman, we're always overwhelmed about with our emotions that we just want to give up sometimes, but that's not an option. It's for me, it's always been like I have my children, so there is no choice but to keep going on a constant basis, just looking at the positive, even if you just want to linger on the negatives. And recently, just literally in the past few months, I had worked so hard in manifesting the life that I wanted, and thinking that it would never happen. And I got a glimpse of it. I was, I mean, moved into a brand new home with was now my ex. My vehicle got paid off, which was a huge gain for me. And thinking that these things would never happen and actually living them, even though it broke apart.
Hmm.
It's the fact that I lived it and I know I can manifest it and bring it into my life again.
Exactly.
And like we want to give up, I want to cry, but we can't do that. We can never allow ourselves to give into the darkness that be weighing on our shoulders and just overcome the mountains.
Hmm.
Just- I may have not climbed them literally, but metaphorically, life has put so many in front of my path.
Hmm.
And I just keep going and I will not allow anything to let me fall. And
Exactly.
now my goal is to be able to prove to my children that we can gain that with we don't need to be relying on just a person to provide for us, to provide for ourselves. And then obviously lean on those that love us and want to be there and let them support us because sometimes we do tend to block that in our lives.
Exactly. And that's what happens. A lot of times we go through life circumstances, and October is about breast cancer awareness for those of you that are watching, and domestic violence. There are two big things in life that actually happen that today we're going to kind of be talking on about, because I am a breast cancer survivor, and at the same time, she's a domestic violence survivor, which is a big thing this month. It's making and helping women, and not only women, Vanessa. I think a lot of men live with domestic violence and even breast cancer, but it's not really talked about as much.
I agree. I agree. I
Mhm.
have actually come across some male friends of mine that told me their story and but with men it seems like they can't become vulnerable to actually express that and actually put it out into the world,
Mhm.
which they should.
Yes, yes. Hey, Cobus, the Viking. Hello, how are you? Can you
I'm
hear
good,
me?
good. Very, thank you for having me. Okay.
I am
Can you hear
delighted
me?
to have you. Yes, I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you a few minutes ago, but yes, yes. Can you hear me? There's a little echo happening, but it's being corrected. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
no,
Let's
perfect.
check. Yeah, perfect. There
Yeah.
you are. Well, you know what, Cobus, we were talking about two big things that are happening right now. We're talking about the breast cancer awareness and the domestic violence that is really the two big things that are being talked about this month. However, talking about that at a metaphorical stage, we're talking about climbing big mountains, which would be the cancer, the domestic violence, and the actual mountains that we've climbed. You talked about climbing the Kilimanjaro. Am I saying it correctly?
You're saying correctly. Yes, it's Kilimanjaro. It's the highest mountain in Africa.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I want you to introduce yourself. Tell people who you are and where you're from.
Ladies and gentlemen, dit is Kobus Visser. It's some people that are English is difficult to pronounce, but it's Kobus Visser. And I'm all the way from South Africa. So talking to you at 1 o'clock in the morning this side, and in the
Oh my
afternoon by
goodness.
yours. Yes. And yeah, I think the thing is overcoming adversity. I think you just mentioning about gender-based violence and all of these challenges. And I remember this one story. It happened a few years ago. This little boy was so bored, didn't know what to do. So he goes to his mom and he says, "His mom, I'm bored. I don't know what to do." And mom says, "No, go ask your dad." And he goes to his dad, and his dad says, "Can't you see I'm busy reading the newspaper? Go back to your mom." And he goes to back his mom and she wants to help him. And so she looks at the back of the newspaper, is the map of the world. And she says to dad, "Give me that piece of the newspaper." And she tears it into little pieces and she gives him as a puzzle to go put together. After a few moments, he comes back and he says, Mom, look, I've done it." And the mom says, "My boy, how did you do it?" And he says, "Mom, it was the easiest thing. When I turned, I saw the face of a person. And when I put the person back together, the world was fixed." And I think there's so many
Ah,
things in today's time that we, that. equipping people with values again, and with standing up for what is right. And that's where I come from. I think this challenge of where I climbed Kilimanjaro challenged me to realize the importance of value system in our life that we need to live by. And it pushed me to the limits where I almost died on the mountain.
Wow. Yeah, se cortó el sonido. Yes. And the value system, I think it's really price. I mean, it's such a valuable price that we need to add to our life, that a lot of us have value systems, but at the unconscious level, and we're not even aware of what we really value. In fact, that was a conversation I was having with Vanessa yesterday. I was like, you know what? Write down all your value systems so that you can consciously be aware of them, because that's how we make decisions in life, based on what we value. And but I want to go and talk about the Kilimanjaro hike that you did. And not only did you climb it, but you climbed it with crutches. So tell me why you had crutches, and why were you motivated and inspired to climb that mountain?
So I was born as a hemophiliac, and a hemophiliac, for those who don't know, it's a bleeder. So my blood doesn't clot. I don't produce a clotting factor in my body. And because of all of the bleedings, my joints disintegrate, and I don't have normal joints. My elbows can't go straight. I'm actually having a bleed in my elbow today. I can't move my elbow a lot. So I bleed in my joints, and the same with my ankles. And so I ended up in 2015 not being able to walk. Now, 1 month became a few months, and before I know it, a year was gone. And I go to the doctors, and they say, according to the x-rays, I have to get both my ankles replaced and both my elbows replaced. And that is my destiny. That was my reality at that moment. I could either accept it or change it. And luckily, through my journeys of life, I experienced something like firewalking, where it challenged the mind about, if you can do this, you can do anything. And my body protected myself by walking on fire. And so I knew, let me apply all of the things out there about how powerful the mind is, and see if I can change my reality. So I read this quote, and this is a success formula about creating your destiny. It says everything starts with your beliefs. You see, our beliefs then become our thoughts, and then become our words. There's a book that says life and death is in the power of the tongue. So whatever we speak becomes a reality. So because whatever we think, we would say, what we say influences our beliefs, and that follows where we take actions. Our actions then become our habits then become our values. And then before we know it, we've created that destiny. And so I knew I had to change this belief where the doctor said, Kobus, this is the reality. You're going to be in a wheelchair for life because we have to replace. I could either accept it, and I realized I need to change it. And so one night I saw a document of two people climbing Kilimanjaro, one in their crutches and one in their wheelchair. And I said, if they can do it, then I can do it as well. And so I put myself on this journey to go and climb Kilimanjaro. And it was 9 days of the biggest challenge of my life.
Wow.
Because just a few months before that, I got divorced as well. So everything just happened at the same time. I lost everything. I lost my family, basically. They moved to a different town. Now my health has been a challenge. And I realized, this is just now to face my own self, my own deepest mind. Because the thing is, by climbing this mountain, you face all of that little voices in your head until they get quiet. And I remember climbing this mountain, and in South Africa, just for those who know, we had awareness now in this last month. And I actually then went to climb Kilimanjaro to die. I just a year before that mountain, not being able to breathe. And he was a sports person, so he was very fit. And I realized I'm not fit. I've hardly ever climbed a mountain. And so I'm just going to push myself until my body. And so every night, I'm busy actually writing my now about the journey. And I remember, and I'm listening to the voice notes of when we shared around the table. We shared, and I said, guys, I'm going to die on this mountain. I'm not going back. And they laughed. No way, you are coming back. And funny enough, on the last night as we summit, and for the viewers out there and the listeners, I climbed in my crutches, so I had to start and as we climbed, it was pitch black, it was dark, and we couldn't see. Gets up to minus 17 at that time. And around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I said to the guide, I can't see, I don't know where. He says, Kobus, look down. And I look, can you see your next step? And I look down, I say, yes. He says, all that you have to focus on is just giving that next step. The rest will fall into place.
I love it.
I realized, sometimes we have these big, and we so focus on it, but we forget that we need to focus on the steps that we need to take now. And so I took the steps, and just before the summit, my body gave in. I just couldn't move anymore. And we were looking at the highest sunrise in Africa. And as we were sitting there, my friend said, Kobus, let's go down. And I said to him, no, go climb this mountain for us. And before he left, he made eye contact and he just said, Kobus, just remember why you came to climb this mountain. And he goes, and I had time to think. And suddenly I had more energy again to push through. And I climbed up to the summit. And I think that's a lesson in itself, that sometimes when we think we can't, we actually have more energy. And the way it is we have to surround ourselves with people that believe in us, to remind us what our purpose is in life, and that we can make it, that the sun will come up, or that we have to focus on one step. And I came back and I was basically reborn on the mountain, and that changed my life.
Yes. Absolutely. It's the power of the mind and the power of the words that we say. I'm constantly trying to be aware of what I'm thinking and what I'm saying. And then what are my actions? Because I know that we can manifest whatever we are saying and feeling and thinking. So I'm very, very careful of that. And I also climbed the Salkantay mountain, and I had just finished chemo, and my son was going to propose to his wife now. And he says, Mom, I'm going to go propose. And I was like, I'm coming. And he's like, okay. I had never hiked. I had never done anything. And it was the same thing. I mean, I couldn't breathe. I kept telling the guide, oh my God, I can't breathe. Send a helicopter to come and get me. And he would tell me, I can't. If we bring a helicopter, all that snow you see up there is just going to fall. And he's like, we can't do that. And he would tell me the same thing. He's like, lift your hands up. And I would pick them up. And he's like, your lungs are going to expand when you lift your arms. And he's like, just take 10 steps and focus on 10 steps and then stop. So my whole way was taking baby steps the whole way. I was the last person to get to the top of the mountain. I was always the last, like very, all the way in the back, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter that I was the last. What mattered is that I made it to the destination that I had set my mind to get. Even if I wanted to quit along the way, there's a lot of times I just wanted to quit, but I kept going. And I completely get it, Kobus. It was hard. And I'm so proud and so happy to hear that you climbed one of the hardest mountains. And then it does change our minds, because then we say, if I can do this, I can do anything. It puts us in that different state of mind. And I'm hoping that people that are watching this show today, that you really connect with Kobus and with Vanessa, because it doesn't matter what you're going through. If you set your mind and you tell yourself, if I can do this and I can take that baby step, that next step, you can achieve anything in life. And I know that it could be difficult, but connecting with people that will help you. Sometimes they can even hold your hand just to take that one more step, and then you keep moving. So tell us a little bit more, Kobus. What is it that you're doing now?
Yeah, what I'm focusing now, there's a few things. I started my journey as doing team building and getting people to work over fire and doing motivational speaking. And then I transitioned into growing businesses, helping businesses to grow, being a business consultant. And then this last year, what I launched was something for men empowerment. I call it the Wolf Pack. the Viking community for men. And the reason for that is there's so many things that have been created for women and women empowerment, women workshops and women sessions. There been anything for men, and so my heart is to help men, to help with their mental health. Seeing a lot of men in the last 2 years committing suicide, and it became a big part of it because I was there as well, committing suicide. I wanted to commit suicide, and so my heart longed, and I wanted to create this community. So my whole drive this last year was to create a community for men to belong to, where they can speak their heart, they can speak their truth, at the same time bringing back in to stand up for what is right, to stand up if a man sees another man is not providing for his kids that he was divorced from, and say you have an honor to do that. You have to stand up to do that, to see if, and talking about gender-based violence, to see if your brother, what I say, is doing something that is not right, to stand up for what is right. And so, because I think as a world we need more leaders, we need basically men to start standing up for something, instead of just staying quiet, but also believing in themselves again and empowering them. And that's why I like the Viking philosophy, is that, apart from, anything as a negativity, but the Vikings have 9 values that they have lived by. And the secondly, women were seen as equal, so as to get to a point where we are partners in this. We are fulfilling, we help each other. However, and that has been my journey this year, to empower men, to help them to stand up again.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? We were just talking about that a lot of men live and experience domestic violence, yet we don't hear of that as much as we do, like we do with women, that they're going through domestic violence, and they go through depression, and some, they want to commit suicide. And that's exactly why I'm doing this show. We tell stories, so we inspire, we motivate, and we help people, to have the courage to keep going no matter what's happening. So I love that you're sharing your story, Cobus, and I love that you're here, Vanessa. Stepping into that courage of we keep going no matter how hard life gets. The other thing that I want to tell people, I met Cobus because he's part of the Art of Saving Time and Money. It's a collaborative book that's going to be coming out very, very soon. There was some glitches with Amazon, and sometimes technology things happen, but the show today is about we keep going no matter what. It should be coming out very, very soon. Hopefully by next week it's complete and we fixed all the glitches. But you need to read his chapter. You need to buy this book. When I read Cobus's chapter, very little errors were made. Great writer. And the style that you use, Cobus, it's very engaging. As a reader, I really engaged with your story and loved it, And in fact, I think you share some of the principles there of the Viking principles. So do you want to share 2 or 3 of those principles?
Yeah, I think definitely, just to bring back one, is heart, is to have heart again, and passion in what we do, is living, to live by certain standards and morals, to be able to be upstanding in your environment, just to share 2 of them. And then the principles of being fearless and courageous in times like this, and I think that is something that stands out for me. When you are more fearless and more courageous, you are willing to take more risks, you are willing to step up and not hide away. And this is where basically my 2 creeds come from, that is whatever it takes, because by saying whatever it takes, you basically can't blame or can't have excuses. You take responsibility. And the other one is to live without regret life, and we have to make the best out of it. And the one thing that I realized is the moment one has become a leader is the moment you gave up the right to be negative. And so we need to be positive as leaders and make a difference. And that is the basic foundation and principles around the Viking.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Living without fear is really difficult because, sometimes I even discovered things that I didn't even know I was afraid of. And when you discover the little things that you're afraid of, and then being aware of it just helps you to step into not being afraid anymore. We went in and we visited, we did a lot of like island hopping. And of course, you have to kind of climb some stairs that have no handles. And then it was like, okay, how do I do this? And I was like, well, I'm just going to climb on my knees, so I could use my legs to kind of feel secure and my hands to kind of climb up and not feel that I was going to be unstable and fall. So you just have to figure out, how do you manage the moment that you're fearing and what is it that you're afraid of, so that you can compensate or find a way to do things. So, but Cobus, what else would you like to share with the audience? Because I know that it's over there, it's midnight, and I don't want to keep you waiting.
No, it's not a problem. It's an honor to be here with you on your show. And I think that's important. It's about sharing, and that's where the stories and we learn from each other's stories. Now, just I would love, a nice way of getting to know people is, if I have to ask you two, and maybe the audience, if they are there, what would be your top 3 animals that you love, and maybe a characteristic, if I ask you and Vanessa, what would be your top 3 animals, just for interest sake?
Right. Mine is the white tiger, the eagle, and dogs. I love dogs.
Man, that's an interesting question for me, because I'm not an animal person, but if I do have to choose 3, definitely would be the lion. They're actually all cats. The cheetah.
Okay.
Because she's fast and never stops. Which one else? Third one. A shark.
Oh, interesting. So, it's a fun game I usually play with audience and with people, because it gives you an idea about the person in front of you. So the first animal that you just chose is basically how you put yourself out to the world, and that's how you want the world to perceive you. To experience me. This is who I am. However, the second animal that you mentioned is actually how they experience you, right? So, so that's interesting, and I can see it by the animals that you've chosen. And I've just met you now for a few minutes, face to face. The third animal, right, is who you really are.
The third one?
The third one, yes.
Oh, the third one. So I'm friendly and loving and forgiving. That's what the dog does. Like, they're friends no matter what.
And they're loyal.
And they're loyal. And I'm very loyal as a friend, as a businesswoman. I'm very loyal to what I do. I love it.
Compassionate. You're very compassionate. Yes.
Absolutely. And what was yours, the last one?
A shark.
Oh my God, a shark. What does that mean?
So, a shark, is can work alone, but a shark is, don't mess with her. I think, just looking at her, I won't mess with her, right? If she's in her environment, respect her. And I think respect is very important for her. Am I right, Vanessa? So you can see that, yes. And I think one can go in a few things, but when they put their mind onto something, they go and they get it. So it's a powerful exercise to play around with, and I realize that this is one thing we as human beings need to do, is we have to learn each other. We need to understand where the other person is coming from, and understand, because we all have different stories, we all have different experience and cultures. However, I can understand coming from, I can have so much more compassion and feel for you and be more supportive. And I think because of COVID and everything that has happened, we've lost that as human beings, of having that connection again with people and understanding where they're coming from, taking it personal, because everyone has different beliefs, everyone sees the world differently. And I think that is important. So, and that's what I love. And I'm glad that I could share that with you.
I love it. I love it. I lost let me see what people are saying. ¿Hay algo que están diciendo la gente o no? Okay, we just want to say hello to Diamantina. She's watching us. Mayette, hello. And then if you're watching us, why don't you write your 3 animals and how you describe yourself? Cobus just gave us an exercise. If you name 3 animals, it was their favorite animals that you said?
Yeah, it's usually what's your top animal that you like, your 2nd, and
Mhm.
your 3rd. So, yeah.
Yes. So if you could type them, and then that would be interesting for us to look at, and then you can go back and do the replay and see what he talked about for each animal, and that would be exciting, interesting to see what you select as a listener. So
And it's
I love it.
and
Uh-huh.
it's interesting that, I've done this multiple times, that people that are in sales shows normally the similar animals to compare to someone that is in HR choose again different animals. So you will find out the animals you choose, you sort of attract these people.
Mm-hmm.
And just coming back to then values is important. It's to know why is it important for you and are you living those values. Is your values will attract the right people in your life, but also the wrong people. So if you don't live acting the wrong people, that is going to challenge you, and then you're going to ask, "Oh, why is this happening to
Exactly.
me?" Because you are not living true to your values. If you live to your values, you will attract the right people because they will have similar values and they will empower you. And that is why it's so important to know your values and to live by them.
Mm, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And even being able to look at the value system and putting them in a hierarchy, I think is important, Cobus.
And communicating it to people to what is important for you, because it doesn't help you just know it, right? It's to
Right.
communicate so people know that this is what you stand for.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The other thing, Cobus, that we're going to let her kind of talk about is when we settle for less because we think that we want this person so bad, and then we give up on our values to have what we think we want. So talk about that, Vanessa, and then give us some advice on that, Cobus, in a little bit.
So in the last 3 years, I was so determined on trying to build a relationship, a sturdy relationship with this individual. But through through that time frame, it's like I just kept overlooking my actual wants and needs. Like I was like, okay, well, I might not be getting this from this person, but I'm filling it in with something else that we might be doing together. But in the recent months, everything has just exploded because I came to the realization that it was never going to actually work out because I'm still not being fulfilled. I may be giving this individual everything they want and making sure that all their needs are met, but I mean, not just me, but I know there's other women out there or men that are conforming to the other person's necessities and wants and desires, but we're dismissing our own. Like there was so much that was missing, and I'm like, I'm just settling, and I just realized this. I mean, I was talking to her yesterday. I'm like, I didn't want to admit it. I'm settling for less than what I know I deserve and what I want in my life. Yes, I got the majority of my
Your wishes.
manifestations and my wishes, but that lack of was never going to make me happy. And it's difficult for a lot of us to admit that and get to that point because we're just so comfortable in certain situations, and just overcoming that. I mean, my brain just like exploded. But definitely an emotional journey, but to realize it and accept it now, to be able to put the values that I never put in place, because you did bring that up, and I'm like, now I can actually, I know what I want, I've seen what I want, and I know I can obtain it, just not giving up. And that's the gist of everything from what I see.
Yeah. So what can you say about when people, Cobus, settle for less because they want to make the other person as happy as they can be, yet their own happiness is not fulfilled because they're missing certain things in life. Ay, se desconectó.
Ya.
Ajá.
Bueno,
Yeah, yo creo que el internet de él, okay.
ese está
Yeah.
borroso.
Okay, we lost Cobus, but he'll probably be back. And if you're watching, you're going to have to do the replay. He asked a question: if you can name 3 animals, what would they be? And for you to go ahead and type them in the comments, and then we can come back and review what you wrote. But it's true, Vanessa. I mean, a lot of times we settle for less because we want to be happy with the other person, right? Or we want to make the other person happy. So I'm going to call one of your kids really quick because he probably wants to be here. Come, Darius, and say hi. But be careful with the cord. We're going to introduce you to Darius. Say hi, Darius.
Hi,
Tell him what your name is.
my name's Darius. 7 years old. My birthday was on the May 9th. It already passed. But I'm super happy
Why are you happy?
because actually it's been a hard life for all of us. But it's okay because we can still move on.
Mm-hmm, right? And it doesn't matter, right? How hard it is, we can move on. Yeah, absolutely. So tell people not to give up and keep going, right?
Yep, that's
Mhm.
actually what everybody should do when they have a hard life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if they have a hard life, they keep going. I know. So that's really interesting. Come over here, sit for a little bit. Okay, this is a special show. He's always wanted to have a YouTube, right, Darius?
Yeah.
And we're gonna get him to have his own YouTube soon. And then, what's your name? Huh? Tell him what your name is.
She's actually super shy.
Her name is Layla. Don't do that because you're gonna see your diaper. Say hi. Okay, and then we have who? What's your name? Chanel. Chanel is an artist. She loves art, right? Tell them what you do.
Art.
Uh-huh. Ever
I
since
like to draw.
uh-huh. She loves to draw and paint. Ever since she was little, she would be drawing and painting and that. Now we're gonna start creating coloring books and for kids so that they can draw and color. So
Actually, I want to tell everybody something. Everybody should do this what I say. Everybody should try to get rich by doing some stuff and doing their work, and then if you're kind of rich, just give out people some food or money.
thank you, puppy. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about making money to give people money. And in fact, we were in the Philippines and we went to visit some, Kids of Hope. And the majority of the kids there had cancer. And it was an amazing experience being around children that had cancer and us being there giving them hope. And we sang with them and we danced a little bit and they danced and performed for us. So it was a magical moment. So now that I'm saying that, I do want to invite people to the fashion show festival that we're having November 11th. And what we're going to be doing is having a dance performance. And then after the fashion show, we're going to have dance so that you can wear your pink heels, pink tie, or anything you have. This is the time to come and help us support so that maybe if there's somebody out there that has cancer and they're not able to pay for their rent or pay for their bills, then we want to be able to support them and help them. I went through cancer for about 7 years. It was the most difficult time of my life, yet people supported me in many ways, morally, spiritually, helping me, bringing me meals, taking me to the doctors and stuff like that. And now it's time to pay it forward. The other thing I do want to honor this whole show for is a very, very special friend. She just passed away because of cancer. So this show is honored on her behalf. She battled really hard and she did leave her child. He's 14 years old and he's very, very young. And the reason we're doing this is to help other women that are going through tough times. So we would honor you if you come and dance or watch the fashion show. Again, do you want to say anything else?
Well, yeah. So I know that I said we're gonna have a tough life, but I don't think that I actually. Sometimes I might cry for somebody that I love super much, but it never would happen when I ever see him again. So that's why.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. Love you, Pa. Okay. What else do you want to say?
No, just everyone out there, just keep going. Don't let anything overpower you and your soul.
Ya regresó.
And keep going.
Mhm. Yeah.
Come.
Okay, go. Be careful with the thing. Be careful. Be careful. Okay, we'll go. Thank you.
Ya estamos hablando de la familia. Ya regresamos a la.
Sí.
Para que le digas.
Yeah. So, hey, Cobas, thank you for coming back. We went ahead and connected Vanessa's family, which is my family, and they were able to share a little bit. So we kind of lost you, Cobas, but it's one of the questions was that Vanessa, she was talking about how she was settling for less to make this other person happy. Yes, yet she realized she wasn't completely happy. And that happens a lot in life, where we settle for less just to make somebody else's happy. What recommendations would you make when people are doing something like that? Can you hear us?
Can you quickly just repeat that? For some reason, just want to excuse, make yes, I want to make apologies. My one laptop just broke, and so I had to quickly switch on another one. Can you repeat that question so that I can just make sure I have the right answer?
Yes. Like when people are settling for less because they want to make their partner happy and they want to keep them content so that they don't leave them, then they give up on their values, on what they prioritize so that the other person can stay with them. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah, I think it's important to realize who you are and what your standards are, and then communicating it. I think sometimes we forget who we are, and we adapt to keep the other person happy. But in the end of the day, if you go alone to the bathroom, the only person there with you is you, and so you need to become important for you again. It's the moment you start loving yourself and respecting yourself, and setting a standard, what you set for. And it comes down to also setting down those boundaries and knowing what those boundaries is and communicating it. I think that is important because we're not a percentage of someone else and to keep them happy. We're there to not only support and fulfill them, but they're also there to support and fulfill other beings. It's not two 50-50s coming together. Like people say, oh, I found my other half. No, I found another person that is content, that is whole, and I'm whole coming together. And I mean, to do that, it takes a really courage and fearlessness to be able to communicate. This is why communications is so important. Communicating my values, communicating what is important to me, communicating what is my dreams and goals, and listening also what the other person's dreams and goals are. And that way, you will never settle for less. You will actually create that amazing destiny and future that you so desire.
Mm-hmm. Entonces, como que se le va la...
Esperando que le contestes.
Oh, okay. Yes, and that's what happens. We kind of lose your sound for a moment, and then you come back, but then we lose it. But I think that's really important, Cobus and Vanessa, that you do recognize what you value, that you express what you value and what you like, and if it's not there, then it's not a complete and a whole. I mean, there's relationships where you can have disagreements, yet you still need to respect each other's value system, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because even if one can express their values and their boundaries to another person, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will actually, meet them either way. They'll say, okay, they'll do it for a little bit, and then they'll just go back to their patterns and routines. And it's just about being able to acknowledge it, accept it, and let go, and just learn to move forward.
Yeah. So Cobus, I know that I was supposed to meet you in Hawaii and it didn't happen, but hopefully it does happen in February, and that we get to meet each other. And there's another organization that I really want to connect you with, these amazing gentlemen, and I want them to meet you. It's called Men of All Nations. And I think you have a lot to bring into that organization, and then they can also meet you. And if you want, I can make that connection. And I think it would be an amazing opportunity. We will be next year in Yucatan, Mexico, which I would love to see you come and join us and be maybe one of our speakers there. So we can talk about that more later, but I just kind of wanted to tell you some of the exciting things that are in the oven right now for next year. And all men from all nations will be joining us, because we're ladies of all nations and men from all nations come together. And we were in the Philippines just a couple of weeks ago. So, but anyways, do you want to leave us with any special message before we leave? And then tell people how they can connect with you.
Yeah, thank you. For I think a part of my journey next year is to come to Mexico, and to come because I have a few friends that side, so I would love to come and visit them. I think one thing that to leave people by is, at the end of the day, is we have this one life to live, and to live this life, it's not always just about us. It's about the people around us, to share a little bit of us to them, and go out and connect with people, share the love. And one way of doing it is give them a hug. That moment in South Africa, we have a saying that says, can you say "Sawubona"? Means I see you. You just need to be seen. And then you hug heart to heart. And when you hug, you breathe in and you breathe out. And for that moment, you are present with the person in front of you. And so my challenge is to people is go to the loved one next to you and go say to them, I see you. Hug them and be in that moment with them.
I love it. And those are simple words, but being able to tell somebody, I see you, and having that eye-to-eye connection, heart-to-heart connection is powerful. I think it's powerful. I love it. Thank you for reminding us to do that. And where can people find you, Cobus?
It's COBUSVIR, so it's cobusvisser.com. And I'm on all social media, so they can just search for me, Cobus Visser, the Viking, basically, that walks on fire. So they're welcome.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much, Cobus, for being here with us today. I know that it's midnight in Africa and people are sleeping, and then here you're on the show, sharing your knowledge, sharing your heart. I truly, truly appreciate you. And I am just honored knowing you, and for you saying yes, being in the book and also here on this show. Thank you, and be blessed, Cobus.
Thank you. Sending you both hugs.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take
bye.
care. Bye-bye. So then what else would you like people to know, and what would you like to share?
I don't know.
I mean, life is a journey, and it's about just going through the journey, even when you fall. And
Absolutely. Obstacles are always going to be there. It doesn't matter what life you're living, where you're at in life. And it's just about keeping your head up, not letting anyone or anything overpower your light, and keep going and striving for what you wish for, because it's there and you will obtain it. as I know I will obtain what I have set for myself as a goal. So thanks, guys.
Where can people find you? You're not coming.
I'm on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, Vanessa Lizbeth, and then on TikTok as well, Liz Benavides. So go ahead, add me.
So I suggest that you follow each other, that you connect with Cobus, you connect with Vanessa, and always connect with us. We're always going to be here at 5 p.m. Central. It's Facturando Tu Historia in Spanish and Power Talk. That's what we call it in English. And it's on Radio Metroplex from Arlington, Texas, the capital of sports, shows, and entertainment. And we're here every Friday, at 5 p.m. Central. So join us, and we're going to close up right now and play just a little bit of music. We're going to say bye to all of you, but not forever. Stay tuned, because we'll continue every Friday at 5 p.m. Don't forget, before the music is being played, we want to invite you again to the fashion show November 11th. It starts from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. So join us. So okay. Hey. And we're going to say goodbye to all of you, and we always just dance a little bit.
I don't dance.
just the basic.
¿Ya se baila?
Ella sí.
Ready? Dance. Come on, Leila. Dance, mommy.
Are you gonna dance, Layla? Dance, Federa.
Turn. Yay. Turn. We'll see you later.
La base de datos de virus ha sido actualizada.
Bienvenidas. Comenzamos. Radio Metroplex. Presentando. Radio Metroplex. La mejor programación. En vivo. Desde Arlington, Texas. La capital del deporte. Los espectáculos y el entretenimiento. Radio Metroplex. La mejor plataforma en su tipo. El mejor contenido. Radio Metroplex. Y diversión para todos.
Sí, así ya se anima a que empiece a escribir su libro y que haga su podcast.
¿Ella es su sobrina?
Es mi sobrina. Ajá, y es mi sí.
So,
Bueno, gracias. If you guys are giggling too much, I can't bring you here anymore. Because people can hear you when you're giggling and playing around. They're like, there's gremlins in the background. And they're not going to want to listen to my show because there's gremlins.
I've been sneezing, that's
Bueno, gracias.
Thank you.
Sí, nos vemos. Gracias,
El
compañero.
viernes que entra se me hace que traigo modelos para el show. Entonces, en el grupo del Radio Metroplex puedo
Sí,
pedir
bueno.
que,
Sí, bueno,
para que vayan al show.
listo.
Gracias.
Gracias. Oh, ¿de veras?
Sí, porque es el 11 para que lo pongan en el calendario.
Todavía no tenemos el lugar, pero estamos haciendo una reunión donde vamos a presentar la radio. Dice presentación Radio Metroplex, evento exclusivo para empresarios y dueños de negocios en crecimiento, noviembre 12 6 de la tarde. Va a haber cena, música en vivo y vendors. Y aquí vamos a presentar la radio y vamos a pasar 3 shows al frente para que hablen, como el show más viejo que tengo, cuánto tiempo tiene. Por ejemplo, Francesca y Sol, que son las que tienen clientes y que tienen sponsors, que hablen cómo cambiaron sus vidas, cómo empezaron y cómo van ahora.
Ajá.
Y estoy si el rock o alguien de deportes, algo así, para hacerlo.
Para que
Ajá. Entonces, va a ser bilingüe, va a ser hablado en inglés y en español. Entonces, va a venir la Toyota, va a venir la Ciudad de Arlington, va a venir Coca-Cola, van a venir varios sponsors. Y solamente voy a tener 10 vendors. So, apenas estoy armando el banner y el flyer, perdón, para hacerlo. Todo indica que va a ser aquí en la quinta.
En la quinta.
Ajá, porque está muy económico. Y va a ser el domingo para que me salga más económico. Entonces, es domingo 12 a las 6. Pero cuando ya tenga todo listo, te aviso.
Okay.
A ver si nos puedes acompañar un ratito ahí en semana,
Bueno.
para que conozcas a la gente, porque tienen. Y además, como estamos a unos días de Thanksgiving, una semana antes de Thanksgiving, a lo mejor que nosotros nos juntáramos para saludar. Para la foto de toda la radio.
Ándale.
Los que se puedan.
Sería bueno. Está bueno.
Nos vemos, gracias, cuídate.
Bye.
Que te compongas. Aquí así. Así, ¿no? Aquí.